6 o'clock. I'd like to call the February meeting of the Springfield Board of Education to order, please. Roll call.
Mr. Hess.
Here.
Mr. Wheelan.
Here.
Mrs. Dodson.
Here.
Mr. Dinkins.
Here.
Mr. Hofer.
Here.
Would you all stand so we can have the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, we have presentations. Number 4, attendance program presentation. Officers Rick Poling and Dave Hoover.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board for inviting us here. We'd like to
Make a short presentation on the attendance truancy program that's provided by, not only through the, by the board itself, but through Springfield Township Police Department also. I'm just going to do a short introduction. My name is Dave Hoover. And for those that do not know me, I've been out here all my life. I went to high school here and also retired from the Springfield Police Department back in 2006. I retired with 31 years as the chief of police at that time period. Shortly thereafter, I was hired by the Summit County Prosecutor's Office and worked for Sherry Bevan Walsh's office. Worked there for almost 7 years, and then decided I wanted to cut back on full-time working, and this opportunity came up by coming back to Springfield, working part-time, and working with the truancy program as well as the community youth division program for the police department and for the schools. My partner is Rick Poling. Just to give you some information on Rick, Rick was a U.S. military in the Army for 3 years. He was military police at that time period. He was hired on to Springfield Township in 1978, and he stayed for 3 or 4 years, and then the Sunshine of Miami called him. So then he went to Metro-Dade Police Department, and he finished out his career there with 28 years. And then he made his way back to Ohio, and right now I believe he's wishing he was back in some sunshine there. But he then also is working the program. He is working also as a part-time police officer also. And what I'd like to do is just let Rick start with the program as far as the truancy program itself.
Yeah, what Dave left out is he was my training officer in 1978, and he trained me, and then we were partners for a couple of years. Yeah. Best times of my life was with him, and now that we're back. And we want to thank the school board for giving us this opportunity to work together and work for the kids. Basically, the truancy program outline, we go out, we're trying to get kids in the seats. In the past, you had a coordinator here that all she could do was send out letters saying, need your kid to come to school, we're going to file charges. She couldn't go to the home. So what we actually do, we go out, we're knocking on doors, we're driving into their driveway with a marked police car in uniform, standing in their living rooms and their bedrooms saying, get up and get to school. So we do a lot of that. That's our main thing. What we also do is we work with the counselors. We've identified some kids who are 18, they're seniors. They've basically quit going to school. As far as truancy, there's nothing we can do to an 18-year-old. But we'll talk to them, we'll talk to the mother, we'll work with the counselors, saying, and they, like there's one lady that lives on Tyson where they've hooked her up with some online classes. She's going to graduate this year. There's quite a few of those that we've had. We just Just because they're 18 doesn't mean we quit trying to get them here. We even had a kid who's 20. We're trying to get him back here. So we do a lot of that. We do something else that your old coordinator couldn't do. We do residency verifications. We did a lot more at the beginning of the year when we're trying to sort out open enrollments and this and that. And we go out and we knock on doors all over Akron, Portage County. I've gone as far as Atwater. I've been to Kent, all over the city of Akron. And verifying, do the kids live where they say they live? And we're still doing some of that. As the new semester rolled around, we're doing a lot of that. We also work with juvenile court quite a bit, Child Services Board. If we find, we have one case in Lakemore where the parents were not sending their children to school. Then when they did send them to school, they always had head lice, so they never did anything about fixing the head lice. Well, finally we got them in court. We thought the judge was going to take the kids then, but they didn't. But she set down some rules. Well, within 2 to 3 weeks, we reported back to the judge that this lady's not, going by the court order. So they took the kids, and the kids are now going to school. They're now clean and bathed, and they're down in Stark County. Unfortunately, they're not in your school district, but they're getting an education. Hopefully, mom will get her act clean up, so they can come back to Lakemore and do the right thing. So we do stuff like that. The social agencies, we work with them. If we find that a child or a parent needs something, we try to get the right agency to work with them. And
Well, we've come across also where we've had to have Children's Services Board notified and have them interject as far as taking care of children, and like just in the sample that he had just spoke of, the children were taken from the home, but there was more than just a head lice situation that called for that situation to occur. Hopefully that family can be back together functioning, but it'll take some time, and the parents are going to have to do a better job than what they had been doing. Just to let you know, the hours that we work, I work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, as far as with this job. And then Rick works Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we make this way, it's a 5-day work week period, where we're involved with the schools 5 days a week. You have an officer that's there 5 days a week, whether it's at Springfield High School or at the other schools such as Spring Hill Elementary, Young Elementary, and Schropp Elementary also. So we're not just here in one school, we're at those various different schools throughout the day.
One thing at the beginning of this, Mr. Sincere was very big in setting this up. We met with him almost daily, probably the first month we were in operation, setting different things up, and even before school set up. There was a couple letters that the court had drafted that the coordinators send out telling parents, come to school, you're in violation such and such, and it's signed by a coordinator or a school administrator. Well, we decided to, I wish I had a copy of one of the letters, but it has the Springfield Spartan logo on one side and has our police badge in the other. It's signed by both Dave and I. And it has a little more teeth when people open it up. And it comes in a Springfield Township Police envelope. So they're not just getting thrown to the side like we've seen other letters that have been. I think that's helped quite a bit. The first timers, the ones not quite on the fence, that it does scare a lot. We found a lot, the letters, more often than not, that's all we need to send out. And if it's excessive absences, we follow the letter up. Usually we're there before the letter gets there, saying, hey, how come your kid's not in school? Now, how this letter works is we don't send them out. Your school administrators do. At the high school, the assistant principals identify who's missed 4 or more, and the chronic, it's 7 or more. And we also have a chronic letter that ramps it up a little bit, a little more scarier. Well, they decide, as well as the grade schools, who gets these letters sent out. Well, they'll send a letter out, then they make a copy for us. We then take it, and that's when we go to the residents. We, again, knock on doors, say, hey, why is your kid not in school? Now, tardies we treat a little different. Tardies, the letter goes out. If it's just a simple couple tardies, we let the letter speak for itself. Now, if tardies become a problem, you get 10, 12, 20, then they send out a chronic tardy letter, then we follow that up with a phone call or a personal visit. And we've talked to administrators about the success of these letters, and everybody seems to think that they're working, you know, especially the tardies. We're getting, a lot of the tardies have been cut back, way back. Now, as far as stats, one thing that drives me nuts is I cannot, we're comparing apples to oranges because the way the state, I guess, has set it up, we can't compare last year's truancy stuff to this year's. So the only way we can do it is by talking to administrators, and they tell us if we're successful. And so far, it seems to be we have been successful. And this stronger letter has a great deal to do with it.
Now, one thing that Rick brought up about the letters being strong and enforceable in some of those, but what we do is we don't just go out and gung-ho and just jump. You know, we meet with the parents, meet with the kids here at the school and or at home, and we try to find out what's the problem here. You know, is there something we can do to help out? So we go, you know, easy at first, trying to find out what the problem is, why they're missing school, or why they're being tardy or truant, and offer any help that we can, whether it's through counseling or something that the police department can offer also. And then if it needs to be, which it has been through the school year, we have to take stricter enforcement. And we've brought charges against students as well as the parents, because the parents can be charged with the statute of called failure to send, and it's failure to send your child to school. Now, we understand that your second grader, your third grader, we're not going to bring charges against them. It's not their fault. Some of the times it's the parents' fault. We have to bring charges against the parents if they don't straighten up and start sending and getting those children to school. So, and this year we have brought charges against the parents also.
The statistics, if you want to look at the statistics. Every month we do a statistic sheet. We do the top of this is the present month, or the month that just finished. And the bottom is a total from August. I think we started August 22nd, 25th, something like that. So we put everything together. What is not on here are the millions of phone calls we make and the millions of trips to juvenile court. But what you can see, and why we list this, is Board of Education facility visits. Just in January alone, you had a police officer at a school or the Board of Education 50 additional times than what you normally would have. You have Jim McKnight up here, does a fantastic job. I've worked all over. I worked in Kansas, Miami-Dade, and here, and Jim does as good a job as I've seen as a school resource officer. He's very good at what he does. But in addition to Jim, you have us here. Normally, we're at the grade schools, I gotta say 4 out of 5 days a week. We may not go to a grade school one day during the week because they're just not as busy as the intermediate school or the high school. And this puts, I mean, if you look at the total, we've been at your facility 276 times through January 31st. I think that's marvelous. And the other thing we do is when we're there, they may have a problem with a child, especially Schropp. They have this one class where they seem to have a lot of trouble with some children. But we'll go down, we'll talk to the child. And we make that child a friend of ours. And we got a lot of kids now. We go into the schools, the grade schools. I love the grade schools. The kids are so cute. They're always parading them through the hallways, and we wave to them, we high-five them, and we're making friends. Then in addition, the people who live in this community, what we do by doing all of this is we're driving a police car all over Dade County. Or not Dade, I'm sorry. All over Springfield Township. So the township benefits from this truancy program because they see a police car throughout their neighborhoods. And we're driving on streets that the police car doesn't normally get down because we're going to the residences. And I think it benefits not only schools, but the township residents. And we have filed 22 cases, as David said. We filed 22 through January. I gotta say about 12 or 13 of them are against the parents. If it's high school, sometimes we won't file against the parents. We'll file against just the kid, because the parent is trying. In the middle, we kind of file for both, and like you said, the younger ones, we just file on the parents. We've been successful on some of them we haven't. You got some that just are not going to come to school. And the courts try and we try, but, you know, but those are the statistics. Anybody have any question on the statistics? And man hours, just so the board knows. You guys aren't getting charged hourly. You have a flat rate, and, you know, I know we're going way over whatever the hours are. So we put a lot of time in and dedication, and we love doing this.
One of the things that we've been able to do also is there's the Dazzle sheet, and the educators are familiar with what the Dazzle sheet is, but maybe those at home or those that are viewing are not familiar with what that is. But the Dazzle sheet is the information on the students, such as their parents, their addresses, phone numbers, etc. And during this program also, we've been able to come across the Dazzle sheets and find that there's incorrect information, meaning such as like their addresses. We found out we've been given information on maybe to follow up and check on a certain student or a family to see if they're living in our school district or if they're living in the city of Akron, Atwater. And we've come to find out that, you know, we've had students where they're not living where they're saying that they're living, so your taxpayers and our taxpayer money sometimes is not being used correctly. So we're able to update those Dazzle sheets to where these people are living, and if they're living in another jurisdiction, they can file through open enrollment and go through the proper procedures to attend here, so that we're not losing money, meaning the school board, the township taxpayers are not losing money, and get those people directed in where they need to go or what they need to do to get into the open enrollment aspect of the education.
Tardy letters I talked about, but I want to talk about the PLCC. The children who go to PLCC, they're ours. If they're Springfield, if they're home from the home school is Springfield, they're ours. We meet with PLCC, not a whole lot, because they send a lot of emails to us, but we have several children here going to PLCC, and what they like to do is they don't like coming here, but they like to go to PLCC, show up a little bit later or whatever, or they'll go to morning classes there and not want to come here. So we get on them. And why a child going to PLCC, going here in PLCC, or even there full time, they have a wonderful program there. I mean, you know, they got the culinary arts, and we do everything we can to talk these children in to doing the right thing, tell them, you know, what their benefits are if they stay in it. But for those of you who have children in PLCC, we stay on them as well. Even if they're full-time at PLCC, if they're a Springfield child and they're not attending PLCC, we go after them. So before they get thrown out of PLCC, we try to keep them in that program.
I think last but least here, talking about, we had touched on it somewhat before, was extra patrol and security. I think this, us being around, and not only with Jim McKnight also as the school resource officer for the high school, but us being at the other schools and being able to come in, hopefully, God forbid, nothing ever happens, but with us being there, maybe it's a presence that maybe stops something in the future, or somebody takes a second thought about doing anything. And so we just think that it's extra more security for the other schools also. Does anyone have any questions?
Just a comment, I think, and you know, by hearing your presentation and stuff, it's almost like a attendance program is just such a small part of it in a way. I mean, we're trying to get kids here, but I almost look at this as it's an intervention program.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys are really reaching out and doing more than just trying to get, as you said, officer, kids in the seats. You know, so much more, and working with the school counselors and stuff, and it's such a huge benefit not just to the district, but the entire township and stuff. And this is an amazing program. You guys are doing a great job. I've heard many good things about the program and stuff.
Thank
We're
you.
so appreciative of what you guys are doing for us.
Well, you know, we would be remiss because Principal Meadows is here, and Chuck, and I've told Chuck and Mr. Stauffer a million times, we have not had one little blip from an administration or administrator, a secretary, nothing. When we walk into the schools, they drop everything to help us. And they go above and beyond. Sometimes we'll go into the school and they have the stuff written down for us. You know, saying, I've talked to this parent, this parent, this parent. And, I mean, your staff is amazing, amazing. I mean, from everybody, you know. Miss Meadows herself comes out and greets us when we get there. The assistant principals here, you know, they can really shell out the letters. Sometimes we come in and there's a bunch of letters waiting on us, but you guys do a fantastic job, and we couldn't do it without you. And I want to thank you, Chuck, for, at the beginning, getting this all set up and supporting us, and it's been fantastic.
And I think, like you said, not only does it make our schools safer, you have a greater presence within the schools, but you're much more likely to identify an unsafe condition in the children's homes. And those conditions likely might not be noticed and acted upon if it weren't for your active presence. So I think that's really important. You know, I did notice all the visits to the Board of Education Center. I do hope we do not have a truancy or tardiness issue at the Board of Education Center. Please let us know directly if so, and we'll take care of that.
Most of those were at the beginning setting this up. As you noticed, we were only there once in January. And Brad Boone I forgot to mention Brad Boone and Kathy Grubbs. Oh my God, they're invaluable. They're invaluable.
I'm probably going to repeat what they said, but this is all worth repeating. Thank you very, very much. As they've said, when Chuck first introduced this program, we thought, oh, great, an attendance program with more bite and more credibility if we have officers showing up at the house. A lot more credibility, but then to hear about the services that you help connect these children with and to make their lives better and the intervention that you provide, anything we can do to make our children's lives better in this community is just wonderful. And as they've both said, and it's well worth repeating, this is so much more than an attendance program, but it's about a quality of life for our children and our families. If it wakes some parents up that have become a little complacent or something, it's about a better quality of life for the people in this community, and it's just great. I mean, just great to hear what you both had to say this evening. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
take it a little more serious
Yeah.
Thank you.
if you come to the door. We appreciate everything that you've done.
Thank you. We enjoy it. We love it.
Yeah.
I love being back with him.
That's
You know,
great.
So it's wonderful working with him, and I love the kids. Great.
We can tell.
He asked me today, he says, "You still having fun?" I go, "Yeah, it's still fun."
Yeah, there you go.
That's what it's all about.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
No, thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
awesome.
Item number 5. It is recommended that the board approve the minutes of the organizational and regular meetings of January 13th, 2015.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Whelan?
Yes.
Item number 6, at this time, we have citizens' comments on agenda items. If anyone has anything to comment about on the agenda, if not, we'll move on. Number 7, it is recommended that the board approve payment of bills for the month of January pending audit in Exhibit 2.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Whelan?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Number 8, this is payment of bills now, then and now. It is recommended that the board approve a resolution for payment of bills per ORC Section 5705.41D as listed in Exhibit 3.
So moved.
Second?
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Whelan?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Item number 9, acceptance of financial reports. It is recommended that the board accept the financial reports from the treasurer for January 2015 in Exhibit 4, 5, and 6.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Item number 10, revised administrative benefit and salary agreement approved, and the revised administrative benefit and salary agreement as in Exhibit 7.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes. Now we will go to personnel, item 11. It is recommended that the board accept, approve the following personnel items. Are we going to do this separately?
No, it's all gonna be
All,
one
all
action.
one, okay. Employ Miranda Mick and Jennifer Johnson as a home instructor for the 2014-15 school year pending proper licensure. Approve FMLA leave for classified employee Donna Walker after exhausting her sick leave and returning approximately May 1st, 2015 pending doctor release. Employee Shiloh Uhas as a literacy tutor per the negotiated contract pending proper licensure effective January 15th, 2015. Employee Debbie Cutright as the Project More Coordinator per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective February 3rd, 2015. Accept the resignation of classified employee Dana Boyle effective 2014-2015 school year and Tammy Samigo effective January 1st, 2015. Reassign Dustin Boswell to the position of Business Manager effective March 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2015. Approve a 3-year administrative contract for Dustin Boswell as Business Manager effective July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2018. And accept the resignation of Principal Cynthia Frola effective at the end of the 2014-15 school year. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Item number 12, the fund transfer. It is recommended that the board approve a resolution authorizing the transfer from the general fund 001 to the LFI, that's locally funded initiative, right?
Correct.
Construction fund 004 in the amount of $412,298.29.
So moved.
Second?
You won't see another one this year that high.
Thank God.
What we're doing is we're wrapping up the project, so all the invoices that are coming in that have an LFI portion attached to it, we don't have any more LFI money in the coffers, so it has to come from general fund. But again, once we have this episode that we're having in Columbus, negotiating with the architects, and hopefully some of that will come back properly.
Hopefully.
Hopefully most all of it.
Yes.
Okay. Did we have a roll call on that?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Item number 13, transportation to other schools. It is recommended that the board adopt the following resolution. Resolve that it is deemed to be unreasonable, uneconomical, and/or impractical under present conditions to provide transportation on our buses to Falcon Academy. Be it further resolved that parents of students attending said school may qualify for an annual payment per child as prescribed by law. The state average per pupil expended for transportation during the past year. Parents may so qualify by waiving transportation, making application for a D contract, signing name, performing according to the terms thereof, and submitting an invoice at the conclusion of the year.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
All right, that concludes our agenda, and now we have item number 14, the treasurer's report.
Okay. I wanted to give you something. I know we've heard in the news the budget, you know, and really the budget that we've heard about is only Mr. Kasich's budget.
Thank you.
So we have to keep our, although preliminary numbers seem to state that Springfield will benefit from the new budget, the numbers that they don't really talk about are what I call the real numbers, and that's the funding that leaves us that historically never did up until a dozen years ago, and that's charter schools and what that number really is for Springfield. And I don't think, sometimes we forget just how much money goes out our door, that if we had it, our life would be so much easier. And the first chart you have there is charter schools dollars out, and you have 5 years now. And as you can see, it's, you know, I was hoping that it was gonna come down a little bit in 14, 15. It did, but not a lot. But that first chart represents $4.3 million that leaves our district in the last 5 years for charter schools. And as we all know, most of the results of charter schools, if we perform like they performed, we'd be all fired, basically. No, we would be. And so it's kind of, you know, how they spend this every year, year in and year out. And then the crazy part is the more money they're given. So all you hear all year long is how bad charter schools perform, and then the budget comes out, and they give more money. With the hope and a hope and a prayer that things are gonna get better. I wouldn't bank my paycheck that things are gonna get better. I mean, there are a lot of good charter schools out there. I know of a couple that are, but for the most part, it's a money-making venture. And then you see on the next page, STEM and scholarship dollars going out. Now, I don't have much of a problem with this, because these are unique situations. There might be autistic children that take advantage of the programs that are out there, but it's still significant dollars. You're still talking, you know, $200,000 a year for special programs leaving the district. So when you add it all up, and over in the last 5 years, it's well over $5 million. And the thing that really irks the treasurers is the charters get the full boat amount, $6,000 per kid, where we don't even get $6,000 per kid from our taxpayers. You know, it goes through that complicated formula. So it's gonna be interesting what's gonna happen in the next few months. I know the legislators, it's kind of, you know, this new budget that the governor threw out really caught a lot of people off guard, because it wasn't what people expected, especially from a Republican governor, because basically what he did, you hear about the term the Robin Hood effect. He basically took money from the rich and gave it to the poor. Now, how the legislators react that represent these affluent communities will be the important thing, because as we all know, you have a lot of affluent community superintendents and treasurers that are gonna be doing their job, and they're gonna be getting on the phone and calling their legislators to say, hey, you need to fix this budget, this isn't fair, why should you penalize us? So it's still very early in the process. So I'll keep you posted via emails or board meetings on how this process is. For me, it's an exciting time, only in the sense that it's different. It's a lot of change going on, so it's gonna be interesting. So that's it. Any questions?
Guess not.
That's fine.
All right. We'll move on to item number 15, the business manager's report. Mr. Lascos.
Food service is approximately the same position as last year. We're at the break-even point at the end of January. With last January, we had 5 snow days. We've had 2 in January this year. But I expect Dustin will finish out the year with a positive cash balance in the food service. Maintenance have been working on heating issues. We did receive the electric man lift for the new high school that can, you know, go up and change all the bulbs in the auditorium, gymnasium. That came out of that, the maintenance fund for this building. Young did finish out They're smart projectors. We installed 2 last month. So I think Young is completely furnished with smart projectors. Schropp received 2, and that puts Schropp approximately 50% done, and Spring Hill has what percent? 80%?
Classrooms, for classrooms,
100%, okay. So we're done with Spring Hill. Other than that, this is my last board meeting. I've appreciated the opportunity to work 28 years here, and enjoyed the 28 years. It's gone real quick. I'm glad I'm here. My daughter is 5 days past due, expecting the 5th grandchild. So
Wow.
I just want to thank the board, and really happy to go out when Springfield is just has a bright future. We have a beautiful building, a great board, and a great administrative team. So just thank the board for their support, and good luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Enjoy your retirement.
I will.
Enjoy those grandbabies. And
Yep.
thank you for, what, 28 years?
28 years.
28 years. Wow.
Long time.
I was here when you came. I'm still here.
Yeah, you hired me, and
You didn't have to fire him.
No.
Dan, thanks for your service to the district. We
Oh, yeah.
truly
Thank you.
appreciate
Yes.
it, and especially with all the ups and downs in this district, you've seen most of it and stuff. And you're right, we're headed in the right direction and stuff. And a lot of it has to do with our administrative team and stuff. And you were a big part of that for a long time, and we appreciate your service. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 16, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Sincere, you're on.
All right, I want to start off with, I want to thank Officer Poling and Officer Hoover for the fine work that they provide for this district and the services that they do for each one of the buildings. It's a great job, and I really appreciate those folks helping us out. I want to talk a little bit about, you saw on the board agenda that Mrs. Frola is going to be retiring from the Springfield local schools, and she has over 32 years experience with Springfield. And I want to read a little bit out. She started in Springfield in February of 1982, and then in 1992 she moved over. She started off at Schropp, and then in 1992 she moved to Spring Hill. It was a junior high then. 96 she moved up to the high school as an assistant principal, and then in 1999 she became the principal of Springfield High School. That's 32 wonderful years. She's done a wonderful job, and she's going to be truly missed. We appreciate all the hard work that Mrs. Frohl has done for us. Down at the end of there, we have Dan Laskos, who's going to be leaving us. This is his last board meeting. He's got 28 years, and he didn't tell you he had 7 superintendents through that 28 years, too.
Wow.
You're the easiest boss I
Okay.
had, Chuck.
All right.
Until we've
You
been
know-
a couple weeks.
Yeah. I tell you, Dan's great to work with. He has a great working relationship with people, and so it's been a success, and we're going to miss him. But when you combine Mrs. Frola and Mr. Laskos together, we have over 60 years of Springfield experience that we're retiring here. They'll both be truly missed, and they're both a joy to work with. I want to talk about last week, if you had the opportunity, the junior high had a play in our new facility here in the auditorium. We want to thank Mrs. Hartong. She's a junior high teacher for putting on the production Black Boots Lost Loot. And if you had a chance to see that production, it was outstanding. Our students in grades 6, 7, and 8 were able to come up and visit and watch that performance. Also, they had an evening performance the night of February 12th. So great job for putting that on. I do want to remind the folks that our scheduled delayed start for March, that's March 4, has been canceled. There will be no delayed start that day. I also want to thank Mike Smith and his maintenance crew for clearing out the walkways and the parking lots, keeping those ready for business. I do want to say that the bus garage has a different surface. It has a gravel lot, and it's a little more difficult to maintain, but we're working to keep that in a safe environment and with heavy salt and staying on top of that. I want to thank Lonnie Meeker, he's our transportation supervisor, for getting those buses warmed up on those cold mornings and getting those buses out on the road, picking up our students and getting them delivered to school and transporting them home on time safely. So thank you to transportation. I'll talk about testing as we get ready to start our student testing. We've been working very hard preparing our students and staff for the test coming up. Many of our students will take tests this time for the first time on computers. The window is going to open up. We have 2 windows. First window is going to be February 23 through March 20. Our second window will be for the Ohio graduation test, and that's going to be March 16 through 20. So you can see some big windows for testing this year. If you had the opportunity last January 30 to see our student drug presentation during the day, I want to thank Mrs. Frola and Mrs. Rummer for providing our students in grades 7 through 12 this presentation. It's called Faces of the Community, Gone But Not Forgotten. We're going to offer that same program coming up February 19 at 7 p.m. at the Springfield High School Auditorium. That program is put on by 3 Lake High School students that all 3 have lost brothers to overdoses within the last year. So an outstanding performance. That's going to be offered for our community on February 19. And also I do want to say that coming up in March is Tornado Awareness Month. And on March 4, we have a statewide tornado drill. And that's it.
Chuck, on the canceling of the delayed start March 4th, I think is when it is what's being communicated to our parents and stuff? 'Cause they're kind of expecting it, they're used to it now and stuff.
Right,
Is there,
right.
is there going to be an all district call or something
There has been. We've put out already an all-call out. We're sending notification home with the students. And then we're also going to put one more all-call out prior to the event. So we're giving them a notice on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And the reason why we're canceling is because of testing. I mean, it's in that testing window, so it's difficult to operate that delayed start during the testing window. Okay, thank you.
All right. At this time, we have citizens' comments. Does anyone have a comment this evening?
Mary Lou?
Seeing none,
Item-
we'll go to the board.
Items worthy of your note.
I'm sorry.
17?
Oh, I'm sorry. Items worthy of your note. March 5th, high school and junior high, 7th through 12th, conferences from 4 to 7 p.m. March 5th, Young and Spring Hill Elementaries, K through 3rd, conferences from 4 to 8. March 17th, next is the next regular Board of Education meeting at 6 p.m. here. March 20th is the end of the 3rd quarter already. March 26th, high school and junior high, 7th through 12th, report card pickup from 4 to 7 p.m. Now, are there any other citizens' comments? Is there anything that the board has?
I would like to.
Glenn?
Chris, thanks for speaking about the charter schools. It really sticks in our craw, and I know my father, every time there's an article about charter schools, he cuts them out and gives them to me, and I have a folder full of them, and you're absolutely correct. If a local school district or a city district were doing the things that are going on in charter schools, people would be fired or arrested. It is, and when you see an article, you know, one here, one there, you know, maybe every couple weeks or so, but when they're all compiled in one folder, it's actually disturbing what is going on with the charter schools. And I'm not saying all of them, as you've said, you know, they're not all bad, but it's not good, especially with our tax dollars being spent that way when we were trying so hard to do so well. On a brighter note, for anybody that's tuning in that sees the new face at the end of the table down there, Mr. Sincere, just want to say congratulations and welcome on the new position. For anybody that may not have seen in the fall, Chuck has 22 plus years with our district. 7 years as a teacher, and he's been a building administrator at all levels. Last 6 years he spent in the central office, working with our central office administrators and directly with our former superintendent, Mr. Stauffer. Chuck has a master's degree in secondary school administration, a master's in curriculum and instruction, a bachelor's in technical education and business management, and an associate's in business management. So Chuck has been with the district long enough, he's seen what we've been through. He knows the direction we're headed in, and I know we're glad to have him here and to take over the reins. Dan, I want to wish you the best of luck. I've known you, I knew you long before I started on the board in 2002. And when I think of you, one of the words I think of is kind and compassionate. And as I think Chuck said, you've been through 7 superintendents, and you've been, you've dealt with a lot of good things in this district, a lot of great things, but also you've been put in the middle of some things that you've had no control over, decisions that have been made or things that have happened, and you've always been able to handle them with finesse and to help people through the hard times. And I'll always remember that about you, and I wish you the best of luck in your retirement. And one of the things that sticks out in my mind is that, as well as Bill Stauffer and Mrs. Froehlich said, and you said the same, that you wanted to see the building project through, to make sure that everything was all right for our community and our students and our employees, and you've done that, and it's greatly appreciated, all that you've done over the past 28 years and for the great person that you've been. I want to thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Glenn.
I'd just like to say how much we're going to miss Cynthia Froehlich as well. She really gave her heart and soul to the district and to the kids, and I know she was well loved by many of the kids. So want to wish her the very best in her retirement. You as well, Dan. Certainly enjoy the grandchildren and the kids. Thank you for your service to the district. And want to welcome Dustin into the role as the business manager. I know that we've got all this experience that's retiring, but we also have great people like Chuck and Dustin that are stepping up, and just look forward to the years to come. So.
Do want to make sure Cynthia's retiring at the end of the school year. She's not retiring now. So,
Right.
Right, correct.
She'll be here through the end of the school year.
Correct.
So.
I'm retiring now.
Yeah, but Dan is done now.
You're just too eager.
Look at the grin. Who am I gonna take the coats from in the future?
Yeah.
I'd have to echo Glenn's comments on charter schools. I mean, there are a couple of good things out there, but they've got to level the playing. If they would level the playing field, we can compete. But they don't level the playing field, and that's the problem I have with them. And they take dollars away, and it's kind of seems like they're not accountable to it. So, but welcome, Chuck, and
Thank you.
Dustin. Welcome, Dan. Have a nice time.
Well, I've been here for many years and seen a lot of superintendents too myself, but, well, probably as many as Dan has, because I think
Mr. Gray.
Mr. Gray was the superintendent when I started on the board, so I guess it's been 7 superintendents. Wow. I wish the best to you, Dan, and your wife Sue, and your family and your little grandkids. They're fun. You'll learn that you love them twice, when they come and when they go. Chuck, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look forward to a good relationship and working relationship. Dustin, we're glad to have you move into the business manager's position. And with that, I guess we will go to item number 19. It is recommended that the board go into executive session at this time to discuss the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee, or the investigation of charges or complaints against an employee, official, licensee, or student, unless the employee, official, licensee, or student requests a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
And there will be no action taken.
No action taken.